Greetings, Culture Warriors. It is I, Jeff Vieira, the author of Culture is Everything, and your host for this latest dispatch from the front. Got a couple of things to relay today, so a little bit on the housekeeping front before we get into the news, as is our wont. First off, I had received some bad news that my editor at the American Society for Quality Press is their publishing arm, and that is the publisher of my book, Culture is Everything. Well, I found out that my editor, the fabulous Sharon Woodhouse, is no longer going to be working at ASQ. She submitted her resignation effective the 26th of August. So that threw me in a little bit of a tizzy. Sharon was an absolutely terrific editor, wonderful to work with, very diligent, and just a huge advocate for the book and for the work we were doing with it. And so when you lose someone like that in an organization, it really strikes a blow. Now, that said, ASQ is a great group of folks. I've been involved with them since 2001, basically, so almost 20 years now. And just a great gang of folks to be doing this kind of work with. So I'm hopeful that whomever tries to fill Sharon's shoes will at least be an acceptable choice if they cannot hope to live up to Sharon's legacy, although she wasn't at ASQ as long as I and I'm sure many other authors would have hoped. So best of luck to you, Sharon, if you're listening, and thank you so much for all you've done to get this project through to publication, and then for all the tremendous support that you've given it since. Really appreciate it, and good luck in your future endeavors. Now we'll head on to our news story for the day. This one is from the Business Insider, David Slotnick. U.S. airlines are banning vented masks, which the CDC says don't stop COVID-19. American Airlines on Thursday became the latest airline to ban passengers from wearing face masks that have valves or vents, a feature that may make some say make the mask more comfortable, but which effectively eliminates their ability to stop the spread of COVID-19. American said the new policy would take effect on Wednesday, August 19th. Face coverings with one-way valves allow air to be exhaled without passing through any kind of filter or barrier, which can allow respiratory droplets containing the COVID-19 virus to linger in the air and potentially reach others. Alaska, Delta, Frontier, JetBlue, Southwest, Spirit, and United have all made the same move. The changes reflect guidelines that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention updated last week to say that vented masks do not prevent the person wearing the mask from transmitting COVID-19 to others. And that is absolutely correct. They do not. But none of the other masks do either, as we've covered. The size of the virus particle is 125 nanometers. On a typical cloth weave mask, you can fit 6 of them abreast, marching merrily out of your mask from a sneeze or cough. There is a YouTube video and some time series photography that you can find online, which will show what happened when someone vaping coughed wearing one of those surgical masks that everyone are wearing and are perfectly fine per American Airlines to wear. And what you see very clearly from the vape smoke is that the smoke emerges from all sides of the mask, including some that goes right through the mask. This is exactly what happens with COVID-19, only more so. It is an aerosolized virus. That means that while the cloth mask may indeed stop some virus particles, The best study shows a maximum effectiveness of about 26%. Plenty is ejected into the air around you, many times more than is required to trigger an infection, which only takes about 1,000 particles. Now, the fact of the matter is, what the airlines don't say, and we covered this on a recent podcast, is that airliners have circulation systems which filter the air. So while it may be ejected into the immediate vicinity, it will get sucked up within the circulation of the aircraft, and it actually makes the aircraft one of the safer places you can be if you want to avoid contracting COVID-19. But instead, the airlines have decided to once again suck up to a rational big government. The same CDC that is now claiming you can't have vented air masks because, God forbid, you can actually breathe. You know, especially for people with breathing difficulty who have no choice but to hop on an airplane because they're throwing away anyone who doesn't wear the stupid mask and banning them from the aircraft for no good reason. Well, these people could at least have a mask that has the right visual look and also allows them to breathe freely. But no more. You must suffer, and if you have breathing difficulty, then you can just rebreathe your own carbon dioxide until you expire on a long flight, and that will be just fine because we're complying with CDC guidelines. The same CDC that told you back in January that masks were useless. The same CDC that did not recommend masks up through about April. And then all of a sudden, this same CDC did a complete about-face without any studies to justify it. And now we must obey and pretend that these quote-unquote experts are competent people, when they have clearly proven time and again that they are not. They can't even count cases right. Do you remember when they kept commingling the COVID cases with flu and pneumonia cases and had to retract their numbers several times? Do you remember when they inflated COVID deaths to such a degree that they had to restate their death figures, the most important number that they published? Of course you won't remember this, because like a good little apparatchik, as soon as you're told the next thing you're supposed to believe, you automatically hit the delete button on anything you were previously told to believe, so as not to embarrass our would-be rulers. So for some strange reason, the airlines have decided that they value compliance with a corrupt government over their own economic interests and over the safety of their passengers. They certainly value it much more highly than the constitutional principle that their whole industry is based on, which is that we shall be allowed to move freely within our country. We have freedom of movement. America is supposed to be a country where there are no internal passports, where there is no hoop that you have to jump through to move from one state to another. Of course, this didn't just start with the pandemic. It really started with 9/11. And the TSA procedures that have been put in place since, supposedly to keep us safe, but the TSA has not, in all those years since, 19 years, the TSA has never caught a terrorist. Not once. And yet we have to endure body cavity probes. If you have a limb that you lost defending this country, you will have to take it off so that the 350-pound person sitting in a chair by the radar, the X-ray machine, can make sure to their heart's content that you're not going to turn it around and use it as a weapon, while you hop or lean, or if you're fortunate, sit and wait. But rest assured knowing that on most airlines, you can wear your protective vented mask as long as you cover it with a disposable non-vented mask. So if you wrap your head in aluminum foil, like you were the human equivalent of Jiffy Pop, they may deign to let you on the plane. You know, the airlines are going to get absolutely annihilated in all this. And I must say, they deserve it. Out of all the industries which have been devastated by this absolutely stupid lockdown policy, there is no industry more deserving of the economic hardship coming than the airline industry. My God, let American, let United, let Frontier, let them all go bankrupt, and it'll be a better day. Perhaps whomever takes it over going forward will be a little less willing to help tyrants oppress Americans and a little bit more interested in their primary purpose, which is to take people from one destination and expeditiously bring them to another destination. That's their job. Their job is not to be the mass police. Their job is not to enforce the diktats of the governors in the little tin pot tyrannies that they fly over and between. Not their job. But they are more than happy to play safety patrol, to play Gestapo, to play customs officer, anything else but the simple job of moving a person from one place to another when, thanks to the design of their system, we wind up having to move ourselves most of the way through it. The one thing I don't miss in the pre-pandemic world is business travel. Soul-crushing, inefficient, often completely chaotic, a system that despite decades of technological advancement is incapable of dealing with a stream of thunder showers over a major airport. Think about it. Or don't think about it. Save yourself the brain cells and just hope the whole thing goes away and gets replaced with some other technology sometime soon. Thank you and have a great day.